You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order.
Alright, good evening, guys.
You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. you've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor ceramic hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor ceramic hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor ceramic hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor ceramic hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor ceramic hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another season of the Caribbean Touring Car Championship here at the Australian Tour. Season 5. What an experience last season was. We are seeing more drivers trickling down as the session goes on. But that was free practice, and we are now in our first qualifying session of the season. We do have 14 drivers, let me say, here this evening as the drivers head out. Chad Dillon being the first of many to try his luck at that pole position. As always, we do have the typical sandbaggers, Mr. Rohey Robinson, who, funny enough, did do a 158.5 at the closing session. I was definitely watching and enjoying him invalidate his laps to kind of hide his true pace. But that being said, nonetheless, he actually did set his time. But knowing him, we might just see a 157 here at Albert Park, Melbourne, a very common track to most Formula One fans, well known out there, as we said, Albert Park, and located in Melbourne, Australia. 5.3 kilometers, 3.295 miles, 16 corners featuring a mix of fast, straight, sharp turns and technical sections. circuit includes several fast straights, providing ample opportunities for slipstreaming and overtaking this evening, a lot of which we saw last weekend, last Sunday in our Formula 4 Championship Round 2 at Road America, where the drivers were using the slipstream to their effect, or to the best of their effect, to see if they can manage their pace and get out, attack as best as possible. But this series, as you all should know, does include the push to pass usage, which obviously you cannot use in qualifying, but you will be able to use during the race. So as stated earlier, we do have 16 corners, and we do have a few notable sections, including turns 1 and 2, which we should see Mr. Dillon here, who we are riding on along with. However, I think Michael Charles is in front of him, so we will just follow him with his first indicative lap, and I think this is his first lap of practice overall. But as he makes his rundown pass the pit exit into turns 1 and to turn 2, this is a critical right left chicane at the end of that main straight, where early race positions will be contested, and you will see a lot of drivers fighting there. But as he goes down Artie Drive into turn 3, which is another notable section, it's the Sports Center corner. Sharp right hander following the Artie Drive straight, common again, spot 4 overtaking here at Albert Park. But they will be utilizing both the push to pass as well as a slipstream to their as best of their abilities, to see who can come out on top. With that being said, we are following along again with Michael Charles, the Trinidadian, coming out of the infamous Lauda corner, heading down to turn 9 by Clark, into the very fast and long stretch of the Lakeside Drive, leading into the next notable section, which is by turns 11 and 12, which is a fast left and then right sequence featuring precision and nerve, leading into the hill straight. These are both, or those were two straights that in Formula 1 they do use it as the DRS zone, the drag reduction system zone, so they use it for that extra burst of speed, to reduce drag, to be able to put or mount an attack to see if they can gain a position here or there. But as you do see Chad Dillon there in the background, clearly Michael just learning. I know he's done some laps, but not many or enough. Chad Dillon there is seemingly getting closer and closer, so we are expecting to see the times go and be posted. So there goes Michael Charles with a 2:01.5, and as I stated, Chad Dillon with a 2:03.12. He did call me before the race to say that, hey, don't expect much of me, don't watch too much of me because I might embarrass myself on stream. But that being said, does at the moment put it on provisional pole Hans Castaneda, who we did not see do much practice as either this week here at the Albert Park circuit, so we are expecting to see him using this qualifying session. He did come in late, unfortunately, and was a late entry into the championship, but nonetheless very excited to see him. Stéphane Tremblay there putting it in P2, only 7/10 off of Mr. Dillon ahead. I did notice as we saw in, well, you wouldn't have seen, but prior to the start of official practice, we did see Stéphane in the 2 minutes, and Luis Arenas now with his personal best with a 2 minutes .723. Daniel Velez was in the 2 minutes and 2 in the official practice, so clearly finding pace now with a 2:01.316. So we will see the times dropping as the session goes along. On top of, well, I guess we can just use this opportunity now to kind of go over a few of the updates that we've had here for season 5. Number one being it is now, or our servers now include live weather. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, so that means it uses the exact conditions that are happening right now in Melbourne, Australia. So it is 11 degrees ambient and 12 degrees as the track temperature. The winds are at 4 kilometers per hour. South is that direction, so we should see a lot on the streets in, well, let me say, right by the Brabham, or sorry, Prost, which is a final corner that's straight on the start finish stretch, as well as by Auto Drive. You should see the drivers maybe losing a little bit due to the draft, but nonetheless by Lakeside Drive, which is a second DRS zone, quote unquote. Not obviously, these cars do not come with DRS, but they do come with push to pass. There they should get even an extra burst of speed, so slipstream should be very strong there after turns 10, in between turn 10 and turn 11 and 12. So a lot to be seen. 4 kilometers per hour is not that much of a increase in the speed for the driver, so we should see a mixture, but nonetheless the racing has commenced, and already we still haven't seen an indicative time from Mr. Rohey Robinson or Jaden Harrison, who I believe I saw leave the server. We should see him rejoining sooner than later. All right, we should see him joining sooner than later, but nonetheless, Rohey Robinson and Jaden Harrison are the two who we are expecting for pole position this evening at Albert Park, or I guess in the case of the game, in-game time this morning, because it is morning time in the session. So we will just ride along and watch as Mr. Rohey Robinson, goes ahead and sees if he can set the indicative time for the others to chase. Jaden Harrison, they're just joining, so we should see him leaving the pit sooner than later to set his time as well. 7 minutes remaining in qualifying. Only time will tell who will be the vast victor of this session, but Chad Dillon, now on provisional pole, still hasn't improved on his time. I am expecting Daniel Velez as well to improve, as well as Mikhail Charles and possibly even Stéphane Tremblay. Nathan Brown, somebody who most of our original fans would be aware of, is back in action, unfortunately not on his wheel, but back in action with his controller for the time being until he gets his own, gets back his wheel system that he will be using in the very, very near future. But as Mr. Rohey Robinson reaches up to turn 16 by denoted the Prost corner and heads down the start finish stretch, we will see him starting his flying lap now to see where he can put himself on position or in position for the start of this race, and immediately goes off track, and that will invalidate his lap as Daville Park now goes 2 minutes and 8.8. So Jaden Harrison now obviously the next one to watch. He will be starting his next hot lap before Mr. Rohey Robinson. So as it stands, I will just leave him to enjoy this qualifying session. And I do apologize, I really did not have any in-car volume, and unfortunately you should have been listening to my voice alone. So unfortunate for you, but as that has been sorted out, you guys should be seeing and listening and hearing quite smoothly the beautiful sound of that Honda Toyota Corolla. He did drive the Honda Civic in the last season, but clearly finding pace or more pace in the Toyota Corolla, one who many have stated is a little bit harder to find pace in, but nonetheless is a pretty quick car once you can get the hang of it. So Jaden Harrison now comes around the final corner by the Prost corner to start onto the start finish stretch and see if he can start his first flying lap and dethrone Mr. Host with the most, Mr. Chad Dillon, for that P1 section. So as I said before, I'll leave him to it and watch as he goes very deep into that corner to see if he can gain as much time as possible. Jaden is one of the two drivers to touch the 158s here at Albert Park, so we are going to expect him and Mr. Rohey Robinson to be fighting it out up at the front. As always, Mr. Robinson is typically a late bloomer to the qualifying session, so we should expect to see him coming on board in the latter stages. But as I said, that it is the latter stages of this qualifying session, so as I said, I'll leave Mr. Harrison and the rest to finish up their qualifying session. But 2 minutes point 3 all the way down to 2 minutes point 9 separates first to fifth position, so only 6/10 to separate 7/10 if we go up to P6. And then Daniel Velez, who somehow always finds space in the race and finds himself making his way through the pack, will be finding his way sooner than later, I'm sure, into the top 5 split. But nonetheless, Jaden Harrison, ladies and gentlemen, will ride along and watch where he comes and places that car for his first indicative lap here in round 1 of season 5 of this Caribbean Touring Car Championship. Jaden Harrison comes around the start finish to finish his first lap, already there in the 159.4, so does put it on provisional pole. Rohit Robinson there, who seems to have somebody right behind him. I'm assuming that's Kimani Eastman. No, it is not. Oh, it's Nathan Brand there in the Hyundai, which we call the Fart Monster. So Nathan there not staying in the slipstream as much as I would have assumed him to. Maybe not on his hot lap as yet, but we will watch to see what happens there. I do know he started practicing this morning or last night, so we should see his pace dropping as well. He is one of the faster drivers here at the JSRA, or used to be when he used to race, so we are hoping to see his time drop and get back into the fold, as he has been out of the action for a few months now, but is back here at the JSRA. Very excited to have him back. But that being said, Mr. Rohit Robinson again going extremely wide and is running out of time to set a lap here this evening, so not sure if he would have been validated there, as the track cuts do go are considered by a real penalty. But based on my assessment, that will or may have been another track cut. So at this point, yeah, that was not an indicative lap, as Mr. Nathan Brand does improve on his time, moving from a 209 to a 204. But Rohit Robinson still, turn 1 is his enemy, and I know I did hear him state it earlier in the afternoon when he was getting some practice going, that he has to get turn 1 perfect. But at this point, brethren, this should be his final lap to set a lap. So at this point, it's not even about being the fastest, but being as careful as possible, because the track cuts here can be very, very disgusting there, as Chad Dillon now sets the second fastest lap. I know puts a lot of pressure there on Mr. Rohit Robinson. Rohit now 3/10 up in sector 1, setting up purple sector 1, but quickly dethroned there, I'm assuming, by Mr. Ooh, I thought it was Jaden Harrison, but clearly it must be by Chad Dillon, who is now 500s up on Rohit Robinson. But Rohit Robinson it was Jaden Harrison, my apologies. So Rohit at the moment still has a purple sector 1 as well as a purple sector 2. So at this point, finally looking like, and as I said earlier, does leave it to the last minute, and finally looks like he may just be putting it in. Let me hope that there's no commentator's curse that he look back at after the race and give me a lot of cussing about later down. But as it stands, it does look like he may just be dethroning Mr. Jaden Harrison and Chad Dillon for that top step of the podium. Jaden Harrison should be rejoining sooner than later, as he did join with a 158.654. So as it stands, Rohit Robinson is only passing in sector 2 by 700ths, and will be coming around the final cross corner onto the start finish stretch. This is his last lap. Has he improved? Well, yes, he has. But has he dethroned Mr. Jaden Harrison? No, he has not. He has taken back his P2 from Chad Dillon, who we will just ride along with quickly, but he's already 6 tenths down, and this would be his final lap to improve. But as it stands, he is not going to be promoted any further. Luis Arenas of Colombia now comes along to finish his final lap and does set his PB of a 2 minutes point 044 and is now confidently in P4. So the top three separated by, well, top two separated by a mere 400th, and the third position now separates himself from P4 by a full on 5 tenths. So clearly 4 races to be had, as long as Mr. Dillon, who is the at the top of the bronze class right now, Kimani Eastman being the only other silver driver who has not been promoted, well, is not in the top three. So clearly he's using this session as a practice session, as well as Daniel Velez, who again just started practicing, and our prayers are out for him as well, because he did have some minor pains and gripes before the start of this race. So hoping that he can endure for the duration of this race. But ladies and gentlemen, as it is, Jaden Harrison on pole position, Rohey Robinson in P2, Chad Dillon in P3, Luis Arenas in P4, Ruben Espinosa in P5, Davil Park in P6, Mikhail Charles in P7, Stephen Tremblay in P8, Daniel Velez in P9, Hans Castaneda in P10, Nicholas Donald in P11, Nathan Bryan in P12, Kimani Eastman in P13, and Philip Williams to rally the troops in P14. The top 10 will be reversed for the second race. So the top 10 finishers, not top 10 from qualifying, but wherever you find yourself at the end of the race is where you will be starting if you finish in the top 10. So if you finish in 10th, you will start the second race in first. So drivers will be strategizing as much as possible to see where they can capitalize in both races. Ladies and gentlemen, I am excited for this race. I'm excited to see what is to come. As we did state, there is a live weather update to our Caribbean, or not just to the CTCCs, but overall our Assetto Corsa servers. So you will see some very dynamic conditions throughout this season. The unpredictable Melbourne weather can introduce additional challenges with potential for sudden changes in the conditions affecting both grip and even the visibility. So it is early morning here at Melbourne, and we are seeing very low temperatures. We should expect a very clean and consistent race here to come. That being said, we will just take a brief intermission. Ladies and gentlemen, again, as always, we thank you for taking the Friday out. If you are a Boston Celtic fan as well, please do not mention anything of the standings or the points, because that is my team, and we are trying to carry out the brooms this evening to sweep the Dallas Mavericks. But if you are a Boston Celtic fan, I do appreciate that you are spending the time here with the JSRA to watch this race, 2 20-minute sprints, as well as if you are a Dallas Mavericks fan. I must laugh at you at this very moment, although I should be very humble, because it's taken us about 12 years to get back to this position. So I am going to be, or more as a matter of fact, so I'm going to be, just as I am a McLaren fan, very humble and appreciative of this opportunity that God has blessed us with. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will take a brief intermission. Please enjoy the CTCC trailer, followed by a quick word from our sponsors.
You see the most exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, and the 5 lights, 6 lights are now on the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we wait for the lights to fall. And there they go. Nathan Bryan already getting a drive-through penalty there. Not sure who that is at the rear pack of the race, but there goes Jaden Harrison and Rohey Robinson. It's a drag race to the start finish. Jaden Harrison coming out faster than the rest, but Chad Dillon there is the biggest loser, losing 2 positions to both Luis Arenas as well as Ruben Espinosa there at the start. It's been a relatively clean race, only Nathan Bryan there to lose out. Not sure what happened there, but that being said, Chad Dillon, now the commentator, the host of the most, is now being bullied there by Davil Park of Jamaica, and Ruben Espinosa, Luis Arenas, and Davil Park overtakes Mr. Dillon. We are already seeing a usage of that push to pass there by Davil Park, so he clearly is trying to make up as many positions as early as possible, a strategy that we normally see by Jaden Harrison, who funny enough has already taken a 1.2 second gap to the car behind Mr. Rohey Robinson. But nonetheless, the fight has started very clean. I was very nervous for turn 1 and turn 2, but as they do come along heading into turn 11 and 12, this is another huge overtaking zone there as Mikhail Charles of Trinidad there puts the car on the inside of Daniel Velez and makes that move stick. Will Daniel be able to hold off for the coming corner by turn 12? No, he has not, and Mikhail Charles there moving or promoted now to P7 and is now on the hunt, but is still in defense there and hugs the inside line to protect against Mr. Daniel Velez of Colombia Nova Racing Store, who is now under attack by Hans Castaneda, who is his countryman there over in Colombia, and somebody who Daniel invited him, and clearly Daniel must be kicking himself now because he immediately loses out to Hans there for that P8 position. P9 sits Daniel Velez now. Rohey Robinson 6/10 off of Jaden Harrison, so quickly found himself back up into that mix, into that fight. But there is Ruben Espinosa and Chad Dillon there already there fighting with Davil Park. The two make contact, and Mikhail Charles are finding himself in the mix, but it's now 5 drivers. They're fighting it out to see who can come up the best, but there's so much drama to already start. It's already 3 minutes in and I'm already losing my voice. So ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned as all 4 drivers, Daniel Velez, Davil Park, Mikhail Charles, and Chad Dillon, now fight it out. And unfortunately, this will give Ruben Espinosa as much time to get away from the start or the pack and see who can get out, as the sun has finally risen. It is now 13 degrees Celsius on track, 12 degrees ambient temperature. So the track temps are rising. A lot of the drivers were very nervous for the rain that may come. Davil Park has used 4 of his push to passes already. So clearly his first running here back at the JSRA maybe has not realized that you only have 5 uses per race. So Davil there already using up 4 of his 5 and now comes up alongside Mr. Mikhail Charles, but Mikhail Charles hugging the inside to protect himself. But was there contact just yet? I'm not sure if that was more rubber banding than contact as it seems no contact was made by those two drivers. Rohey Robinson now still 6 tenths off of the car ahead, but Chad Dillon has basically lost about, well, he lost 2.5 seconds. He was almost 3 seconds. He has made back 3 tenths there. So clearly, Mikhail Charles and Davil Park and Daniel Velez now fighting has given Chad a little bit of free room to try and catch back up to Ruben Espinosa. Again, Chad did set an indicative time there, and Daniel Velez loses out, hitting into the rear of Davil Park. Not sure if that was a quote-unquote brake test or if that was just Daniel losing or braking a little bit too late there. But is the biggest loser there. Stephen Tremblay now promoted into P8. So unfortunate there, ladies and gentlemen, for Daniel Velez, somebody who we typically see catching up a little bit faster there as Chad finds himself kissing the wall, and Mikhail Charles and Davil Park just overtake him oh so sweetly. Thank you, Mr. Dillon, for the spot. I know you normally give me the commentator's curse, but today you just gave me the position that I so deeply desired. Now the gap between Mikhail and Ruben Espinosa is now 4 seconds. The gap between Rohey Robinson and Jaden Harrison is 3 tenths. So clearly they are just deciding, let's not fight yet. Let's just hold it out, pull away from the pack, and then later down I will try my best, both saving their push to passes, one for defense, one for offense. Who will be the victor there? But Ruben Espinosa there now running down Luis Arenas, two Spanish-speaking drivers and very good friends of ours here at the JSRA. We haven't seen Ruben here in a while. My apologies, I may have said Brazilian earlier, but he is Panamanian, if all memories serve correct. But he will be hunting down the Colombian now to see if he can catch back up to Mr. Luis Arenas and maybe employing that same strategy as Mr. Rohey Robinson and Jaden Harrison. Let's not fight now. I'll just keep up as close as possible. But as it stands, this would be the best finishing position of Luis Arenas. I did notice him saying earlier this afternoon that he has felt some improvement, and that is what we love to hear, because here at the JSRA, especially in this Friday series, the Caribbean Touring Car Championship is our development series. So it is here to help the drivers to get up to par and up to the standard to race with the faster drivers. So happy to see Mr. Luis Arenas there catching pace and finding pace and slowly improving day by day as the two drivers in P1 and P2, Rohey Robinson setting the fastest lap with a 159.494, Jaden Harrison with a 159.5. So only separated by a tenth there. Rohey clearly has the pace, but just being strategic and not rushing like we've seen him do in earlier debuts at the JSRA. But nonetheless, Ruben Espinosa still fighting it out and on the hunt there for Luis Arenas in his, he said this is inspired by his own, his dog at his own personal dog. I did not get the name of that dog, but we will get that hopefully in the interview if he is able to maintain this position for the duration. As you know, we always have the top 3 interviews at the end of the series. But there's Daniel Velez now 1.8 seconds trying to catch back up after that mistake, running into the rear of Davil Park, who, ladies and gentlemen, is now out of push to passes. The 2 ahead of him now has 3, one just used 1, and the next one has 4 available to him. So one clearly using it in defense to kind of pull away from Mr. Davil Park, or maybe even catch up there to Chad Dillon. This is the part of the track where you are going to be expecting drivers to use it. This is a quote-unquote, this is a DRS zone for the Formula 1 series, as well as the lead up after turn 12. Right here is typically another DRS zone. So these are the 2 spaces where slipstream and that push to pass will be most effective. So we'll see who will be using that to their advantage as the race progresses. And there goes Stephen Tremblay, and now loses out to Davil Park. They're clearly putting a little bit of pressure there and seeing if they can, sees if he can make that position, and does make that position back into P7. Chad Dillon there moving from P3 to P6. is on the hunt for Mikhail Charles, who is 3 seconds up the road. Mikhail Charles 3 seconds from Mr. Ruben Espinosa, so clearly he has a battle there to catch back up to the pack. Nicholas Donald now in P10. Hopefully he can hold out as best as possible now, 12 seconds behind of Daniel Velez. Daniel Velez being a very consistent driver, so at the moment Nick will be hoping for either a safety car or of some mistake by any of the cars ahead to see if he can catch up. But at the moment, I'm sure he's just trying to hold on to that position, because as we said earlier, the top 10 will be reversed, and after that top 10 is reversed, we will have in that second race, we will have that top 10 reverse, and P10 would be on P or pole position. So at this point, if he cannot improve, at least hold out for that 10th position and see where he can finish here this evening. Mr. Rohey Robinson there using up one of his push to passes again in that section of the track where we are expecting most drivers to mount an attack and see if they can either catch back up or just put a little bit of added pressure. But clearly, we've reached the halfway mark here, and maybe Rohey is either he was losing pace to Jaden Harrison there, as he does get the run and gets a better run around the outside of Mr. Harrison. Jaden Harrison now using his push to pass, so clearly saying, no sir, you will not get that position from me. But Rohey Robinson runs it in and protects the inside, and now they go side by side, makes a little bit of contact. The Corolla and the Hyundai, two cars that they both did not use last season, so clearly they've found pace in each of these cars this season. As they rally around the final two corners, Rohey Robinson takes pole position from Jaden Harrison now, who is now 4/10 off. So that strategy earlier of maybe just waiting and waiting and waiting for a mistake, as soon as he got impatient and said, no sir, it's time for me to make a move, uses a push to pass, throws Jaden off of his game, who clearly did not expect it, because at that point he did say, it was after the run was when Jaden said, all right, let me use mine in defense, but by that time it was too late. Rohey Robinson got the run and then immediately switched to the inside, pushing Jaden Harrison onto the slower line to, well, faster quote unquote line, but once you're on the inside there, the defensive line is the better line to be on. So clearly strategy being played and assumed here at the JSRA this evening. Nicholas Donald now setting his fastest lap of the race so far, and Stephen Tremblay did have a drive-through penalty there for cutting, and unfortunately is now relegated into P9, but we will follow along with this battle here between Jaden Harrison and Rohey Robinson. Jaden Harrison, they're already putting it side by side and saying, no sir, this is my moment, this is my position. But Rohey Robinson hugging that inside line. It is the defensive line. Jaden not using his push the passes just yet, being very strategic, but sees if he can get a better run coming out of turn 12. Rohey Robinson does run wide and does try to cover the inside, but Jaden is already there. So guess what, Mr. Robinson, you have to concede that line. Jaden now in or on that defensive line, as we said earlier, is the better line to be on, because you can now just park it on the apex, as we saw Jaden Harrison do, and cause a little bit of contact there to force Mr. Rohey Robinson to slow down his car and concede that position. Jaden Harrison now back up to P1, and the fight continues. Rohey Robinson now again on that hunt. 8 minutes to go plus 1 lap, so let's assume that's about 10 minutes remaining, depending on where these drivers cross the line once the time has elapsed. Ladies and gentlemen, it's only been 13 minutes. This is round 1 of the CTCC Season 5 Australian Tour. We do have Phillip Island and Sydney Motorsports Park oncoming, and then a finale at the fan favorite and driver favorite Mount Panorama Circuit in Bathurst. So we are excited to see that round, which will be slightly different not even slightly, it will be very different than what we are to expect or what we have seen in the past CTCC series. And moving forward, the final race will be the finale event, so we do hope that there will be a build up, and on that event maybe we'll throw in an extra half a point for whatever it may be. We will confirm throughout the duration of the season, but as it stands, the final race will have a 40-minute race, and the tire degradation would move from 100% to 150%, as well as the fuel rate. So we should see there is no mandatory pit. However, at the same time, we will be expecting to see drivers throw those cars into the pit, so they will have to have some pit lane practice to make sure that they're not getting any penalties here or there. But guess what? Mr. Rohey Robinson now gets a drive-through for cutting, and is now, although 7/10 off of Jaden, gives Jaden now that free room to just relax now, because that would push Rohey Robinson all the way down to about P5 or P6 there. Wow. So no, that must be disheartening there for Rohey Robinson. We did see him struggling there in qualifying at turn 1 especially, and now Mr. Robinson gets a drive-through for speeding. So as we just stated, they will have to get as much pit lane entry practice as possible, because if not, guess what? They will just be finding themselves falling back and back and back with regards to the penalties that they will be receiving. So Mr. Rohey Robinson now in P5 and comes out, as I said, not even in P6 but P7, with Daniel Velez now on the hunt now for him, and Rohey Robinson still has another drive-through. So his race has just unraveled. There goes Daniel Velez as well for a drive-through for speeding as well. But guess what? Luis Arenas and Ruben Espinosa are now fighting it out, and has perfectly just brought Mikhail Charles right back into the fold for that fight and that battle. Jaden Harrison now using up as his second push to pass. So clearly at this point, I think he's just going for the fastest lap, fastest lap, because he already is the only one in the 158s. But that being said, Luis Arenas now in the best sitting position he's ever had at the JSRA in the first race, and will be praying and fighting his best to hold on. But Mikhail Charles there now fighting his way to see if he can make the move and pounce on Ruben here for P3, and then make his way 4.5 minutes plus 1 lap. Does hug the inside line, and that is the ID line, and there goes Mikhail Charles from Trinidad and Tobago to take P3 position. Does cut the track a little bit, but nonetheless that will be a track cut warning, not an immediate track cut penalty, and will at the moment maintain P3 from Ruben Espinosa, and will be on the fight there for P2 to hunt down Mr. Arenas. Hopefully will not lose too much time, and as we stated earlier, will hug that inside line. It is the ideal line to protect him from anybody behind. Jaden Harrison, they're using a second push to pass, so let's see what his indicative lap time will be. And that is a 158.330, so faster than even the qualifying session here this evening at the JSRA. So Jaden Harrison now just seeing that he has the time, he has the space, and is just using this as his moment to shine and maybe show off a little bit of showmanship here this evening. Ruben now putting that car in places just to remind Mr. Mikhail Charles that, hey, Mr. Trinidadian, I'm there and I'm looking and I'm lurking and I want that position back. That is the final podium position, although it should be stated that as it stands, these two are in two different classes. Mikhail Charles is a silver class driver and Jaden Harrison is as well a silver class driver. Luis Arenas and Ruben Espinosa right now sit first and second in their class, but in the overall standings now sits in second and fourth and first and third. So only 3 minutes remaining plus 1 lap. It's again about roughly 2 minutes, so it depends on where the time elapses and where the drivers are on the final lap, if it will be an extra 2 minutes or even 4. But that being said, as it stands, Mikhail Charles there on the hunt. Ruben Espinosa, it seems, made a mistake and is now 7 seconds. I don't know how I even missed that. But Mikhail Charles now looking to dethrone Luis Arenas and catch back up to Mr. Jaden Harrison. We did say it, that Mr. Charles is very quick in the race. He will take a few laps to get used to the car and the track, especially because he leaves practice up until the final half hour or even sometimes a qualifying session before he puts in any real practice. But once he gets a few laps under his belt, he does tend to catch back up relatively quickly as he hunts down that dog labeled Chevrolet Cruze in front of him. 1.1 second ahead of him is Luis Arinos. Luis will be using those 3 push to passes in defense to protect himself and hopefully just keep as far as possible from the cars behind. Jaden Harrison has actually, the gap between him and Luis Arinas has also dwindled substantially as well, as the gap has now fell down to 2.1 seconds, but nonetheless the gap will just maintain by about 2 seconds, and just I'm sure will just be maintained there by Mr. Harrison unless he is to have a mishap here this evening here at Albert Start. What a race, ladies and gentlemen. Just getting a chance to look back into the chat, and it's clear that you guys are enjoying yourselves as well, because boy, I couldn't even take a second to look. Daniel Velez now loses out. Rohey Robinson now sits in P7. The gap between him and Chad Dillon does sit at around 10 seconds, and Stéphane Tremblay is about 10.5 seconds behind him. Nicholas Donald has improved to P9. I'm guessing that's because of Daniel Velez and his drive-through penalty. So again, unfortunate for him there. Hopefully would have, or I'm sure would have hoped to catch back up and even get back into that top 10 mix, but we've seen him come from the back to catch back up to the front, so we should expect a very good showing from him in the second race. I'm sure he's caught his foot now, and we, as we've seen in previous races, will make his way back up to the front and will count the minutes until his attack on the pack. But Mikhail Charles now 2/10, almost 1/10. He's right in the rear bumper of that Chevrolet Cruze driven by Luis Arinos. So the time has elapsed. There will be one more lap remaining based on what we're seeing here. So this should be the final lap, ladies and gentlemen. Luis Arinos setting his personal best with a 159.5, but guess what? So has Mikhail Charles with a 159.1. So will the hunt be on? 9/10 down now. Luis Arinos with 1 push to pass remaining, Mikhail with 2. But guess what? Even though he used 1, is Luis Arinos, he is seeing the gap dwindle slowly, as that gap was down to about 6/10. And Mikhail Charles is definitely on the hunt. He has 2 push to passes to go, and we should expect right on the run out of turn 9 on that long straightaway for Mikhail Charles to use 1 of his push to passes, and I am guessing we'll use the second one on the final corner coming out of Prost. I'm assuming, I don't know his strategy, but as I stated, does use his first one, and so does Luis Arinos. 2.3 seconds is the gap, 1.186. Luis Arinos now trying to cover that inside line. Will Mikhail Charles see if he can just squeeze in between? But no, he cannot. The gap is now side by side. The drivers are there. Luis Arinos hugging the inside line, typically the line that Mikhail wants to take, and there's contact, and now Mikhail Charles has to go and make evasive or take a very evasive line to get back onto the track. But now Luis Arinos now does maintain that position, and as it stands, Mikhail Charles will not be able to, but as we said earlier, he might just, if he don't think he's close enough to mount that attack, but if he's close enough, he will be pushing that push to pass there at the final corner coming out of Prost, where we are noticing Mr. Jaden Harrison, who on the debut of the Australian Tour comes around the Prost corner, the final corner, turn number 16, to finish off in P1 after 10 laps. Consistency is key, and Mr. Jaden Harrison there finishes off in first position. Luis Arinos in P2, Mikhail Charles in P3. 8 seconds behind is Mr. Ruben Espinosa, who now crosses the line in P4. So we haven't seen him race in a while, but glad to see him back, and finishes as the best of the rest in terms of podium positions. Mr. Chad Dillon in P6, Davil Park in P5, Rohey Robinson, who started this race in the top 2, finishes now in P7. We saw him struggling with those track cuts in qualifying session, and clearly makes or has those same issues in the race, in the first race. So he finishes in 7th, and we'll start back in P3. Daniel Velez there again having issues with the track cuts and speeding. So again, I stated it earlier, but Stephen Tremblay in P8, Hans Castaneda in P9, Nicholas Donald, who will be starting on pole in P10, Kimani Eastman aka Kanye East in P11, and Daniel Velez in P12, Philip Williams in P13, and Nathan Brown, who did not finish the race, in P14. So based on what we're hearing by the drivers, a lot of those pit penalties were more because of issue with the track there, it seems, as the drivers were not actually going into the pits, but there was I guess there's an error at the finishing line right there by the yellow line at the entry of the pit lane. We will notice, well, what was supposed to happen were the drivers, or the top 3, would have parked at the top of the pit entry, and we would have taken a quick picture, but it seems as if it automatically sent Mr. Harrison, our first place finisher there, into the pits, as well as Luis Arenas and Michael Charles there. So unfortunate for them there that we will not get that picture, but I'm sure we'll get it back at the end of the next race. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the first race of the season 5 Australian Tour. I'm tired. I'm tired, but I'm excited. What a showing from these drivers. The turnout wasn't as we expected, but nonetheless, the quality of the quantity here at the JSRA, and that's something that we are always proud of, even if we don't have the mass of the drivers here, as the top 3 do actually help us out a little bit there to try and line up for that final picture, but we obviously missed it, unfortunately. But ladies and gentlemen, that was the first race. We are going to have the second race with a reverse grid. Nicholas Donald will be starting on pole position, followed by Hans Castaneda in P2. Nicholas Donald's best friend from Canada, or maybe not best friend, but close friend, Mr. Stephen Tremblay in P3. Rohey Robinson in P4, somebody who I'm sure will be trying his best to just get out of the mix of the rest and just make up as many positions as possible in the starting stages of that reverse grid. Chad Dillon, the host with the most, started in P3 and unfortunately found himself finishing in P6. Incident after incident, but I'm sure he'll be trying his best to just get out as quickly as possible, make his way back up the pack. He will be trying to improve on his license here this season, so he will be starting in P5, Davil Park in P6, Ruben Espinosa in Davil Park would be in P5, Chad Dillon would be in P4. No, Mamatsu's correct. Chad Dillon is in P5, Davil Park in P6, Ruben Espinosa in P7, Mikhail Charles in P8, Luis Arenas with the best finishing position of his tenure here at the JSRA will be reversed and starting in P2, and Jaden Harrison, the Max Verstappen-esque driver from season 1, who won by a landslide in every single race but the first, starts it off in P10 position. Ladies and gentlemen, if that was any indication of how the season is to go, again, we did state earlier that the conditions are dynamic, so we must keep close attention to the clouds, as we will see a lot of rain, or we're hoping to see a lot of rain and different diverse and dynamic track conditions here. So far, the only thing that we've noticed is the track temperatures increasing by 2 degrees. I'm getting messages left, right, and center that the car is awesome, the truck is awesome, and the drivers are pumped and psyched and ready for the coming of season 3 here at the JSRA. So very excited for what's to come. Mr. Donald in P1, as we stated, followed by Hans Castaneda P2, Stephen Tremblay in P3, Rohe Robinson in P4, Chad Dillon in P5, Davil Park in P6, Ruben Espinosa in P7, Mikhail Charles in P8, Luis Sarinas in P9, and Jaden Harrison in P10. But its 6 lights are on, and it is a standing start. It's not a rolling start. Nicholas Donald, with a very good getaway, would have implemented a clutch onto this season's car. So we are seeing the drivers enjoying these standing starts a little bit more. But there goes Nicholas Donald. Rohe Robinson already making up a place there into P3. Stephen Tremblay saying, no sir, I like that position. So already uses back one of his push the passes to see if he can just make his way back up and catch back up and see if he can mount an attack on the developer, Mr. Rohe Robinson. But unfortunately, Stephen Tremblay overshoots that corner and re-enters that track in P6. But there was a huge pile up there, and we should be seeing a safety car, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for that slight delay. We did have to um, reach for our translators here, as Hans does. Castaneda there in P1 did not understand the safety car call. But luckily, we did have our resident translator, Mr. Daniel Velez of Colombia, there to translate. But we are in under safety car conditions. The drivers are making their way around the pack. Unfortunately, by the time everybody caught back up, we'd already reached to the start finish. So to get as controlled of a start, we did ask the drivers to go around for one more lap. So we will notice the drivers keeping their tires in the optimum temperatures there leading up to the race resumption. So as it stands, Hans Castaneda, Nicholas Donald, Rohey Robinson do top the top three in that order, followed by Davil Park, Luis Arenas, Ruben Espinosa, Jaden Harrison, Stéphane Tremblay. Chad Dillon in P9 was one of the biggest losers there, and Nathan Bryan to top out the last points position. Points do go down to 10th, unfortunately, in the second race. Well, not unfortunate, but in the second race, it is halved. So you will see the drivers still fighting it out to see who can come to the best of this position. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, we have 15 minutes remaining. When the leader passes the start finish line, we will see the rest, or we will see the resumption of this race. So let's see what will happen. I will be calling green light for the ones who cannot see when the race leader passes the green light or the racing line, but nonetheless, I will be here to give you or keep you updated with all of the action as Hans Castaneda comes around the final three corners to head on to the start or resumption of this race. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hope that we'll just have a clean finish to this race. They've been so excited, and clearly too excited, and as they rally around the final corner or final two corners, let me say, Hans does hold that Honda Civic there, should be maintaining 80 kilometers, and will be pushing for that start as soon as he reaches to that line. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the action. I did have to set the drivers off to make sure that the ones that did not or could not see what was happening could at least stay up to date. But there goes Rohey Robinson and Nicholas Donald already. There is contact. Well, guess what? The two fastest drivers are already in the top three section. And there goes Nicholas Donald now in P3, now sitting and in the wall, facing the wall, and unfortunately makes that mistake, or it was taken out, my apologies. But there goes Rohey Robinson, Jaden Harrison now fighting it out. Hans Castaneda already using one of the push passes in defense to get as far away as Jaden Harrison, but so does Jaden and Rohey Robinson. We did say that this is a position where most drivers would be using that push to pass, and Jaden Harrison takes out Hans Castaneda. All three of them do make themselves right there into the barriers. Ladies and gentlemen, another safety car would be called. Another safety car would be called. Safety car, safety car, safety car. Davil, please bring the speed right down to 50. Guys, please catch up quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, another dramatic start here. Clearly the drivers are having issues with the... Clearly the drivers are having issues here with the start of this race. Unfortunate there for the top three drivers, missing out now or losing out. So Rohey Robinson now sitting in P11 and Jaden Harrison in P12. Wow. Anyways, we do have the back of the pack trying to catch back up, so the safety car will not resume until Mr. Donald finds himself back into the mix of this series. Ruben Espinosa now disconnecting from the server. Not sure what happened there. Guys, remember the Nicholas is making his way to the back. So please don't go as yet. Maintain 50, maintain 50. All right, David, you can go at the line. All right, guys, please be cautious. No overtaking until David passes the line. I will go green light, okay? David, you can go once you see the light, but I will say when it's green for everybody else. Good luck. Enjoy. Have fun. All right, green light, green light, green light, green light. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the action again. As I'm sure you heard me begging the drivers to just keep a cool head now and see who can make their way back up. But guess what? Jaden Harrison and Rohir Robinson with a job for themselves tonight here to see if they can catch back up. And already Rohir Robinson in the top 10. Jaden Harrison there in P6. How is he making his way up so quickly? We're not even seeing when the moves are being made. But there goes Chad Dillon now using up one of his push passes. And there's another incident there between Hans and Stephen Tremblay. And there's another incident. Mr. Rohir Robinson taking out Hans Castaneda again. These two finding themselves now again and again in each other. So clearly there's a lot of nerves being had right now. Luis Arenas now using this as his opportunity to get away. And guess what? We did state Daniel Velez, who started in P14, is now in P3 on the hunt for P2. But Mikhail Charles now as well is on the hunt and will not be conceding that position. Does like or prefers that inside line. Hopefully no contact and slightly runs Daniel off of the track there. Daniel now having to come back on basically off track through the chicane. But unfortunate there, loses out to Mikhail Charles. And Daniel Velez now making that position or losing that position and is now sitting in P4. Mikhail Charles, who finished in P3, is now again finding himself in P3 and is on the hunt for Luis Arenas and seeing if he can make his way back downtown, walking fast until he's homebound, and see if he can catch back up to not just Luis but as well Davil Park, who is only 4/10 off of Davil Park, is Luis Arenas. So clearly Mikhail Charles has his eyes set on P1, but 2 cars down. Guess what? Jaden Harrison is there, still sitting very much so in position, ready to pounce. 8 minutes remaining. We've lived half of this race in the safety car, and a lot of drivers are cutting as they go along. Nathan Brown, they're getting taking his drive through, so again losing out his positions because he was further up, I think up to P4, P5 early in this race. But now Mikhail Charles on the hunt for P2 and then P1. Now a second off. Daniel Velez just holding tight to see his enemy from the Chase Up Pace and Caribbean Touring. Well, not really the Caribbean Touring cars, because there's just been that much of a dominance from Mr. Jaden Harrison. But Daniel Velez now sitting very much so, trying to see if he can pounce on his competitor from the Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Mikhail Charles. Davil Park there using up one of his push passes to see if he can just pull a little bit of gap. This is going to be the best position for drivers to use that push to pass. And Jaden Harrison there now still lurking right behind to see where he can fit in the fold and see if he can make up a position here or there, and is now 6/10 off of Daniel Velez. The 4 cars ahead of him are, well, let me say 3 cars have only 3 push to passes remaining, with Mikhail Charles saving up all 5 of his. So he will have for defense and offense, and will have the bulk of his to be used in the latter stages, which is as noted by, or as named by our resident commentator, Mr. Chad Dillon, the desperation zone. But guess what? Mikhail Charles now 3/10 off. It's now a train leading up into the Pross corner, final corner of Albert Park. And Michael Charles, I would not be surprised if he used one of his push the passes, but doesn't use it just yet. 2/10 off, clearly says, all right, I can catch these guys based off of pace. And out of this cinco of drivers, Jaden Harrison there does try and make the move on Daniel Velez and puts the effort and puts the pressure there, but does not make that move stick. Daniel going defensive, and there goes Michael Charles looking up on the outside on Luis Arenas, side by side alongside that Chevrolet Cruze. Will he try for that switcheroo? But we know what Michael Charles is planning for. He sees P1, he sees P2, and he does have enough, more than enough. He knows he has a pace. He was a couple tenths faster than both Lewis and Davil Park ahead of him. So he will be leading up into the, this is what, turn 7 into turn 8, and will be leading up into turn 9, be looking to use that push to pass. And there it goes, a magic button. He uses his first push to pass of the evening, and you know where he's going to park that car. He loves that inside line and does put that car right on the front side of that front left of that Chevrolet Cruze, and is closing, not only passing P2, but now is on the hunt for P1 and puts that car, does clearly have the pace there for P1 and will not be giving it up. We know Davil is a very aggressive defensive driver, and immediately Luis Arenas uses that push to pass. But guess what? Michael Charles, you know what he's going to do. He goes for that defensive line, but Luis Arenas now trying to put a move on Davil Park. Michael there getting a little bump draft there by Mr. Jaden Harrison, who has made that move stick on Daniel Velez. But now Davil Park going a little bit off the track in defense to try and keep that position, but now maintains P1. Luis Arenas still maintains P2, has 2 push to passes remaining. Jaden Harrison as well with 2, Davil Park with 3 for defense, Michael Charles with 4, and Davil Park they're now using up one of his to try and pull away. These are the 2 sections that we will see, but Jaden Harrison they're using the bump draft and helping one of his closer friends, so clearly friends on the track this evening, and saying, sir, I'll push you along and let's go for these 2 ahead. I'll take that position from you in the final stages of this track. But Jaden, knowing that he has the pace, Michael Charles they're going again for the outside line. Jaden Harrison there puts the car on the inside and takes that position. Clean sweep from Mr. Michael Charles. At one moment was helping him out, at this moment says, no sir, you have to find your way around these 2. I will make my way myself. 2 push the passes remaining for Jaden Harrison. Michael Charles relegated to P4. We know he has the pace, so I'm sure we'll be fighting his way up and hoping that maybe he can even push Mr. Jaden Harrison along to see if they can make the run up on the 2 ahead. Luis Arenas, as stated earlier, finished P2 in the first race and has already found himself back into P2, goes for the defensive line on the inside line, and we know that's the ideal line because the outside line will have to back out, and they go side by side, almost inching and touching. But guess what? Jaden Harrison there goes right around the corner, around the outside there on Luis Arenas, uses his final push, or second to last push to pass, and now extends his lead. But guess what? There goes Michael Charles now trying his best to see if he can find himself. Luis Arenas again on the inside, but Michael Charles there takes the outside line and does get that move to stick. Has 4 push to passes remaining. Luis has to back out now. Michael relegated to P3 will be using Jaden Harrison ahead to kind of pull him along, but Daniel Velez now still fighting, only a 10th off of 2/10 off of Luis Arenas. And oh my word, ladies and gentlemen, I know we started off weak, but we are definitely finishing strong with these drivers fighting it out for the final podium position. Daniel Velez and Luis Arenas now, the 2 countrymen, fighting it out for the best of the rest position. Daniel Velez coming out right ahead of him and does go deep into that corner, perfectly executed. And now guess what, Mr. Chad Dillon? So right now Luis Arenas moving from P2, being bullied by the next 3 behind, now finding himself in contention for losing out even P5, and is now sitting in P6. But Chad Dillon there sideways So maybe there's a little bit of contact. Not sure what happened there, but Chad Dillon now sits in P6. And the top three separated by under a second, 7/10 between Michael Charles and Jaden Harrison, and 5/10 between Davil Park and Jaden Harrison. There's 4 push to passes remaining for Michael. Davil uses his second to last one and has 1 remaining, so clearly trying to pull away as quickly as possible. Jaden Harrison there only a 10th, and making his way up, seeing if he can find his way, but he knows he only has 1 push to pass remaining. So can he use it in, I know he knows he can use it in, use his pace to overtake, and maybe tries again to go around, swooping around the outside, holds the inside line. There might be contact. No, clean racing by the 2. And Jaden Harrison there takes P1. And guess what? Michael Charles using up his next push to pass and overtakes both of them. Now takes P1 from Jaden Harrison. But Jaden Harrison does have the inside line. Michael goes very deep and loses out the momentum, and now both Michael Charles, Jaden Harrison and Davil Park will be on the hunt for that position. There is contact, but just rubbing is racing. Michael Charles now hugging that inside line and saying sir, and pushes him wide, and now the 2 fighting it out. Davil Park seeing where he can capitalize, but these 2 are just bumping each other out of the way. Daniel Velez there just watching what's happening, and Michael Charles again relegated to P3. At this point there will be 2 laps remaining. So 1 lap after this and then 1 lap after that one. So 2 push to passes remaining. Guess what? Michael Charles is the strongest out of the 3 and he is pushed wide. And Daniel Velez now makes that move because of that push. Michael Charles now giving a little bit of bump draft there for Davil Park, maybe to see if he can get some defense going against Daniel Velez, but no, was sitting P2, now sits in P4. Him and the car ahead do have 2 push passes remaining, 2 laps to go. Which one will be using it in defense? Which one will be using it in offensive? Final podium position. We did say that the reverse grid would lend to some very exciting and hardcore racing, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my word. Michael Charles now in his favorite section of the track uses up one of his push passes. Daniel Velez now using up his and will be slightly late there because now Michael can make that move to catch back up and then maintain that inside line, which we've seen him prefer. They're both reaching up, very closing in on that Mitsubishi Lancer, and there goes Daniel Velez into the rear of that Hyundai Elantra. And now again Michael Charles losing out, being the biggest loser, but Daniel clearly backing out and saying, I'm so sorry for that one, sir, but you can have back the position. Gave up a little bit too much speed there, unfortunately, and that gives Davil Park a little bit of breathing room. Again, there's 1.5, maybe 1.25, less than a quarter lap remaining, and Jaden Harrison now leading by 2 seconds. Will be just maintaining this win, and again we've seen him do it time after time after time. Will be trying to attempt another clean sweep here this evening, something that Boston Celtic fans are looking forward to, hoping, I'm praying when I finish watching this race I will go home to watch that battle between Dallas and the Boston Celtics. But nonetheless, Jaden Harrison on the final lap will be trying his best to see if he can do that clean sweep, win the first race, win the second race, 2.5 seconds ahead. Michael Charles now 3/10 off, did finish in 3rd in the first race and will be trying to finish in 2nd in the second race, and is putting the pressure there on Davil Park for that final position. Daniel Velez still not fully giving up. Chad Dillon there sitting in P5, Rohey Robinson in P6. This has been just dramatic turn of events here in the latter stages of this race, and I must say I am tired. But that being said, it's now still 2/10 remaining. None of the drivers have a push to pass. Michael Charles now using his final one, so this will be his final move, as we've seen before, to kind of push himself through, and we know he'll make the move stick for here, but we know, as we've seen earlier, he may just get, I don't want to call down any commentator's curse at this point, but as it stands, he does have the position, does not hug the inside, but Davil Park does back out and does give Michael Charles that leeway to just pull away. They both running now to see who can finish off. This is the final few corners here at the Australian Tour for season 5 in round 1 at Albert Park, and Devil Park now doing a switcheroo, said he went left, then goes right, and now switches to the inside to take back that position from Mikhail Charles. Mikhail Charles now on the outside, but now has to fight back, leading into the final two corners. But as it stands, it looks like Devil Park has had its stick, and Chad Dillon now in the mix there. Daniel Velez now as well catches back up to the three ahead, but nonetheless, let's call it as we see it. Jaden Harrison now comes around the final corner to finish off in P1. There's a drag race to the finish line, and Daville Park in P2, Mikhail Charles in P3. What a switcheroo there by Daville Park. And Daniel Velez, Chad Dillon in P4 and P5, Luis Arenas in P6, Rohe Robinson in P7, Kimani Eastman in P8, Stephen Tremblay in P9, Hans Castaneda. Unfortunate there for him. My heart goes out to him as it was just incident after incident, but still finishes off in the points. Nicholas Donald there making a mistake in the early stages and losing time. Roy Robinson there getting a 20-second penalty, so that should relegate him to out of the points, as well as Stephen Tremblay. But that was a race, ladies and gentlemen. I am tired. We will have interviews, so please stick along for the final stages of this race, ladies and gentlemen, as I rally the drivers for the the interviews. Please give me a moment's time to catch my breath.
Yep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back. And for the first time in the commentary box, Mr. Luis Arenas of Colombia. You've been racing with us for a few months now, and I did notice you said earlier that you're seeing development and you're finding the pace. We saw you in the race setting a 159 in the latter stages of the first race, winning your defense against Mikhail Charles. Congrats on your best finishing position here at the JSRA in P2. Can you walk us through that one?
Yeah. I mean, that was fun. Both races was fun. I have a lot of battles. Uh, Especially in the second, the battle with Jaden, with Mikhail, with Daniel, with Dylan. What that was fun. I mean, this league has a lot of level, and that makes me feel I want to improve.
Nice.
I am not too fast. But I am trying my best.
I mean, the good thing is, bro, we're seeing the improvement from where you started to where you are now. So, again, as I said, congrats to you, because I am rooting for you in every race. As you see me always messaging you one of ways to see if you're racing or not. But as always, very appreciative that you're here with us. The second race that we did notice there was an incident or two with you relegating you down to P6. Could you
Yeah.
walk us through what happened? What happened there?
I don't know. And try to defend. But Dylan, Dylan break so late, and I mean that was not a dive bomb, but he breaks so late, I couldn't skip it. I
Yeah.
could change drop. So yeah, that's racing. it's hard racing. I like it, and yeah, that's I need to improve that.
Well,
Right.
nonetheless, man, congrats on your first podium finish here. Um,
Thank you to you, to you,
definitely.
to the league. You know, thanks for let me participate, let me drive. I
This,
mean, it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. You guys are very kind, and I thank you. I thank you for that.
well,
Thank you.
we thank you for joining, bro. As always, very appreciative of you guys coming on board and showcasing your talent. Not just for us, but also the fans and the sponsors. So, again, looking forward to seeing you come back out on track for the next season, for the
Yep.
next round at Phillip Island. And I'm sure we'll have many more conversations.
Of course, I'll be there.
All right, brother. Thank you.
To you. Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Luis Arenas of Colombia here at the JSRA in his best finishing position here at the JSRA in P7. P2 in the first race and P6 in the second. But now we have Daville Park. But now we have Daville Park in the commentary box. Daville, can you hear us?
I said,
Daville, what a race by you in the second race there. Could you walk us through that battle for P1 and then that battle between you, Mikhail, and Daniel there, especially that switcheroo at the end of the of turn 10. Oh, sorry, of turn heading into turn 13, my apologies.
yeah, that was probably my best move in sim racing. Um, yeah, um, the safety car came out, and luckily I came into first. I was in, well, yeah, the safety car restart. I didn't really get the best of start, but I held it off in the turn one. Then it was smooth sailing until Jaden came. So yeah, he just came out of nowhere. So, and with Daniel, yeah, I was like the whole race I was just defending. I feel like I just remember defending. I don't remember anything else. But yeah, awesome racing, and yeah, I channeled my inner Sebastian Vettel. So yeah, it was a great race.
Well,
My best
bro,
finish in this series.
I was about to say, congrats on your best finish in in our league. And if I do speak for the fans and the other drivers, that would have been the move of the day. That move on Charles there for the P2 in the second race. That was it caught me off guard. It did catch me off guard. So again, congrats to you, bro, and awesome racing nonetheless. And happy to have you back in the league. I know that you took a little intermission, but I'm glad to have you back here with us for the Caribbean, the Australian Tour, season 5 of the CTCC Championship.
So thank you.
Thank you too. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Daville Park of Jamaica finishing off that second race in P2. But here comes the man who got goofed, Mr. Mikhail Charles, one of my better friends and somebody who supports the JSRA every chance that he can get. As I said, one of our closer friends here. He and his close friend Mr. Jaden Harrison were finding themselves bumping each other until Jaden just pulled that move and sent a dive down the inside. Mikhail Charles, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Well, first you can just walk me through the first race and then we can get through the second race. But you can just give us a little bit of insight on what happened in the first race.
I honestly can't remember much from the first race, but I remember it was good racing. Like for the entire race, just side by side racing for the entire race. And I didn't really came in with a lot of practice, so I kind of had to learn the track for the first few laps. But once I got it done, I had really good pace and just felt amazing.
All right. Well, so funny enough, during the during qualifying and practice and the starting stages of the race, we did make mention that you typically start off slow because you don't get much practice in the week. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
But your race pace is always that of a connoisseur, if we may call it. You'll always find the pace slowly but surely. But the second race, I know you might want to forget some things there.
Yeah, the second race was fun.
It was.
Honestly, it
It
had a lot
was.
of bumping, but it was good hard racing.
I agree. I just want one question for the fans. When you made that move there, we did notice on the run up by turn 9, you love the inside line.
Yeah.
Plus the push to pass. We saw you use it every single time.
Yeah.
So we knew that was your favorite line, and you used your final push to pass there on Daville. And then in the latter stages by turn 11, was it turn 13?
I'm not sure which turn, but one of the turns I made a big mistake. And
Right.
I've done it multiple times this race. Like I got past somebody, and right as I got past, I made like a simple like a mistake, like that.
Right, you left the door open.
Not just that, like I just went wide. I
Oh,
touched the
no.
grass a little bit. He caught up. I tried to defend, but then he sent it on the inside. That was an amazing
He
send.
sent it. I mean, I
did
literally
not
lost my
expect
voice
it.
there. I did not expect it. 'Cause what he did was he was on the left and then just pulled that switcheroo and went on the right and went down the
'Cause
inside. So,
I
yeah,
forgot like the road turns out
opens
a
right,
little. Yeah.
right,
So it's like,
right.
oh shit, and he just sent it straight on the inside.
Sir
I was like,
language.
okay, nice move. Oh, my bad. But it was a nice move.
It was a nice move and worth the expletive there, so I won't kill you that much. But nonetheless, brother, an epic race from you. I was hoping, not hoping, I was expecting you to get that P2, but your
Me too.
strategy
I
just
had
didn't
the
work
pace.
out in the last.
I had the pace.
You had the pace, but unfortunate for you there. But nonetheless, bro, that was some epic racing. You've given us a lot of overtaking and highlights for the week to post.
Did you guys see the double
Yes, I did.
overtake?
Definitely. It was
would have
caught
been
live.
so good.
It
I
was
just
caught live.
missed my breaking point.
That whole battle was epic, bro. And then you lost out to Jaden, and then that was just Jaden's way to get through.
Just slap him up. He slapped me straight into the wall.
Boy, but nonetheless, bro, that race was epic. If that's indicative of the season to come, I'm very excited for what's to come. I'm expecting more drivers, as you know, and I'm sure after the showing of tonight, we should see them coming more and more fast and furious. But nonetheless, Mikhail Charles, thank you as always for joining, bro. We'll
no
speak
problem.
soon.
Okay.
And ladies and gentlemen, Mikhail Charles finishing in P3 in the first race and P3 in the second race. And we now have pole sitter, race 1 winner, race 2 winner, the man, the myth, and I guess not, well, if we can't call him a legend yet, he will be called it very soon, Mr. Jaden Harrison. Jaden, can you hear me? Jaden, we made a few references to you this evening with the Boston versus Dallas final game 4 this evening, which the Boston fans are hoping for them to bring out the brooms and have a clean sweep, my name being that of them. And you pulled it off in extraordinary fashion, sweeping again P1 in the first race and P1 in the second race. You had a lot more work to do in the second race. I know that battle between you and Rohe for P1 was actually very spicy in the first race. So you can just walk us through that. And then give us a little bit of insight on that run, that fight. I have something in particular that I'd love to discuss with Mikhail, but you can just start with that fight between you and Rohe Robinson. What I assumed was him strategizing for you guys to just pull each other along, build a gap, and then fight it out. But by the halfway mark, he made his move and made it stick, and then you just came right back at him. What a move that was, and what a fight that was up until he got that drive-through penalty. But yeah, walk us through what was going through your head.
Yes, well, I was new to the Corolla, so I was just taking my time. I was breaking a little early, but it was a very good fight. Just kind of just holding out the positions, was waiting for him to send a move and just about carrying and trading positions for the finish. But unfortunate that he get that penalty. I was staying off the track limits and he was cutting, and just got the penalty. So that's just how it is.
Yeah, no, we did notice him struggling in the qualifying session, especially by turn one, to keep the car on track. So I'm guessing the majority of his cuts did come there, as well as by turn, I think it was by turn 4, if I remember correctly. But nonetheless, what an epic drive there, Max Verstappen-esque. I did notice that the gap did dwindle to about 2 seconds there. Could you just tell us quickly what happened between that 6 second to 2 second gap?
Yeah, I just slowed down to try
Okay.
and get
Some
a
action.
fight going.
There you have it, straight from the source, folks. But nonetheless, in the second race, you did have to fight your way through. Can you walk us through the second race? I am going to get to my final question with regards to you and Mr. Michael Charles in a second, but can you just walk us through that second race?
Yeah, well, we start at the back, just try to keep nose clean and just get most positions as quick and efficient as possible. And got to doing that and got up to second place. Got in a big incident with the first place driver and a big pile up there, but started again at the back and I think I may have jumped the start, but I don't think I jumped the start. Again, I have to look back at that, but I got a good jump and got up to good position and the fight way through. It was a very good fight going up.
We
So
did
the P1.
notice, we didn't see what happened there, but we did notice you just jumped the P6, and I was like, what an epic jump there, or run there for Mr. Harrison. So if you just incriminated yourself, you kind of just sold yourself out. But I'm sure the stewards will be taking a look post this race. But finally, now that battle there between you, Daniel Velez, Luis Arenas, and Michael Charles, or I think Luis at that point had fallen out of the mix. But you ran on the inside, you made the move on Michael Charles, and Michael Charles used to push the pass on the outside to make that move stick, but broke a little bit late. And that was by turn 11. So on the run up to turn 12, it was you and him side by side, but you just pulled away. Can you walk us through that one? You basically stopped a double overtake there for Michael Charles, and his highlight of the race was subdued immediately. Can you talk us through it?
Yes, well, when I made the move on for first, I got a really bad run. I had to compromise the line, and the kid just was sitting in the back, kind of copied what I did to him on a previous lap, and just capitalized, push the pass and put it 3 wide, and I knew what he was going for, so I just broke as late as possible, tried to delay his turning, and he just could not stop to get the car turning, and it was a race down to the last corner.
And what a race that was. But Jaden, you finished 2 seconds ahead, almost 3 seconds in the first race, and 2 seconds ahead, or no, was it more in the second? But nonetheless, you clean sweep the racers this evening. I am excited to see what is to come of the next few stages of the Caribbean Touring Car Championship. So congrats there, sir, on another victory, another sweep at the in our inaugural CTCC, or monthly CTCC Season 5 Australian Tour. And I can't wait to see you again next week as we do visit the Phillips Island circuit. One of, again, in Australia, one of the preferred tracks here at the, maybe not even just the JSRA, but just overall, especially for touring cars and the V8 supercars. So very excited for this week's or next week's race, and excited to see you on board, Mr. Harrison. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time out. If you have missed tonight's Boston versus Mavericks race, I do implore you to go and enjoy that race. But this fight was epic. What a race of fortune between these drivers. I mean, the drama literally led to the end. Congrats to all of the podium finishers in both races, and if you're watching and you want to take part in these races, please feel free. We're excited to have racers of your caliber. A piece of Reese, I see you in the chat, Reese, good friend of ours. Unfortunately, you missed it there, bro. I was excited to see you this week, but I'm sure you'll make it for next. As we visit the Phillip Island, and the racing will only get better and better, especially with racers of that caliber. Unfortunately, we will not be having any races again for the rest of this weekend, as the Chase for Pace Praga Cup is slated to resume next Saturday, and the round 3 of the Formula 4 Championship, 68% chance of rain at Sebring Motor Speedway in Miami, Florida will be, or not Miami, but in Florida, will be postponed due to Father's Day, so we will be missing out on any more racing. So we hope that you enjoy this evening's racing. We're excited to have you on board. If you have not watched that Boston versus Dallas basketball game as yet, please don't spoil it in the chat, as I'm heading home to watch as we speak. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been your host this evening, and I'm so proud to call these races. As poor as it might be, we will eventually get back a resident commentator for our series, but until then, you will have to bear with the voice of Mr. Stewart. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you again for joining, and we bid you a good night. We are coming up to, as
man, so
there is a round.
outside. Oh yeah.
Ooh, let's try the switcheroo.
We all know what this is gonna be. You came and failed the test, you met the best, expected chess, but got monopoly. I came and bought you out, I knocked you out, I crouched you out with no apologies. I am the hope, the heart, the faith, the spark, the one who will fulfill the prophecy. I just been counting, never lounging, climbing up mountains, bouncing back. Step in the ring, about you step back. They'll learn hot when I get on the track. I like it louder the most. Watching all these sheep just bow down to the goat. If I can't decide, I'ma probably get both. We didn't celebrate, but right now I'm a toast. Resurrected
Here is Eastman going side by side with Jaden Harrison. Jaden Harrison took him on the inside, but Eastman says no and closes the door. But here he is now about to lose 2 positions, heading into the penultimate corner. Now coming through the final corner, can Moss get past Eastman as well?